Imagine yourself at 17, sitting in a classroom. The hum of fluorescent lights overhead, your future stretched out before you like an unwritten book. You're told to study hard, get good grades, go to college, and a rewarding life will follow. It's a promise whispered in every syllabus, every standardized test, every late-night cram session. You trust it. You pour your energy into it. Fast forward a decade and you're drowning in student debt, working a job that barely pays the bills, wondering where you went wrong. The world sold you a dream, but the fine print was written in chains. What happened? How did a system meant to liberate you through knowledge end up shackling you to a life of compliance and obligation? The answer lies in a lie so pervasive it's woven into the very fabric of modern life. The belief that education is a neutral, benevolent force designed to empower you. It's not. Education, as we know it, is a machine carefully engineered system not to unleash your potential, but to mold you into a compliant, indebted cog in a larger economic order. This isn't a conspiracy of shadowy elites twirling mustaches in secret rooms. It's a historical reality, a structure of power that operates in plain sight, disguised as opportunity. To understand this, we need to peel back the veneer and look at education through the lens of Michel Foucault, the philosopher who saw power not as a blunt weapon but as a subtle, pervasive force that disciplines bodies and minds. Foucault's concept of disciplinary power reveals how institutions, like schools, shape us. Discipline, in his view, isn't just punishment. It's a way of organizing time, space, and behavior to produce docile, predictable individuals. Think about your school days. The bell rings, you move to the next class. You sit in rows, raise your hand to speak, memorize facts for tests. You're taught to follow rules, meet deadlines, and conform to expectations. This isn't accidental. From the 19th century onward, as industrial economies demanded workers who could operate machines and follow orders, education systems were designed to instill habits of obedience. Schools became factories for producing not thinkers, but workers' people, who could sit still, take instruction, and prioritize external validation over inner curiosity. But the system has evolved. Today, it's not just about producing factory workers. It's about creating debt-slaves individuals, tethered to the economy through financial obligation and conditioned to accept their place in a hierarchy. Consider the modern university. You're told a degree is the golden ticket, yet tuition costs have skyrocketed since the 1980s, far outpacing inflation. In the U.S., student debt now exceeds $1.7 trillion, burdening over 45 million people. You graduate not into freedom, but into a contract. Years, sometimes decades, of repayments that dictate your career choices, your lifestyle, your risks. You can't declare bankruptcy on student loans in most cases. The system isn't broken, it's built this way. It ensures you remain a productive, compliant participant in an economy that thrives on your labor and your debt. Who benefits? Not you, the graduate, but the institutions that profit from your obligation. Banks collect interest on loans. Corporations gain a workforce too financially strapped to take risks or demand better conditions. Governments maintain a stable tax-paying population. The lie of education as empowerment hides a truth. It's a mechanism of control, a way to keep you running on a treadmill you didn't choose. Foucault saw this in his study of prisons and hospital spaces where surveillance and routine shape behavior. Schools and universities operate similarly, using grades, degrees, and debt as tools to enforce compliance. You're not taught to question the system's foundations. You're taught to excel within its rules. This realization stings. It's tempting to cling to the just world fallacy, the belief that hard work and good intentions always lead to success, But the system doesn't reward effort alone. It rewards alignment with its goals. The diligent student who follows the path laid out, degree, debt, desk job, is often outmaneuvered by those who understand power and play the game strategically. Look at the contrast: the graduate grinding away in a cubicle versus the entrepreneur who bypasses college to build a business, or the financier who leverages connections over credentials. The system isn't neutral. It's rigged to perpetuate itself, and your compliance is its fuel. But what if you saw through the lie? What if you realized the system isn't a monolith, but a set of incentives you can navigate? Foucault's insight isn't just about exposing power. It's about recognizing that power is everywhere, including in you. You're not just a victim of discipline. You're a site where power can be redirected. The awakening begins when you stop seeing education as a sacred path to virtue and start seeing it as a tool, one you can wield or discard as needed. This shift is radical. It demands you question not just the system but yourself. Why do you value what you value? Are your goals truly yours, or were they planted by a system that needs you to stay in line? The lie of education as your savior runs deep, etched into your psyche by years of conditioning. You were told to trust the process, to believe that each test passed, each degree earned, would carve out a space for you in a world that values your mind. But pause and look around. How many of your peers, armed with diplomas, are trapped in jobs they hate, their dreams deferred by monthly loan payments? How many feel free? The system didn't fail them, it succeeded. It produced exactly what it was designed to: individuals who equate success with compliance, who measure their worth by how well they fit into a preordained mold. Foucault's discipline isn't just about control. It's about creating a self that polices itself, a mind that internalizes the rules and calls it freedom. This is where the pain sharpens. You've been taught to see power as external, something wielded by bosses, governments, or faceless institutions. But Foucault forces you to confront a harsher truth. Power operates through you. Every time you chase a grade over curiosity, prioritize a stable career over a risky passion, or silence your doubts to get ahead, you're enforcing the system's discipline on yourself. You become your own warden. This isn't to shame you, but to awaken you. The lie thrives because you've been complicit, not out of malice, but because the alternative, questioning everything, feels like standing on the edge of a cliff. Now, imagine stepping back from that edge and seeing the cliff for what it is, not a void, but a construct. The system's power relies on your belief in its inevitability. But what if you rejected the script? What if you redefined success not as a corner office or a paid-off loan, but as the courage to live by your own values? This is where Nietzsche's influence seeps in. His call to become the overman, not a superhero, but a person who creates their own meaning in a world stripped of illusions. Nietzsche despised what he called slave morality, the tendency to accept handed-down values like obedience or humility as virtues. Education, in its current form, often fosters this morality, rewarding those who conform while punishing those who dare to create their own path. The awakening isn't easy. It demands you face the discomfort of unlearning. You've been taught that hard work and goodness guarantee a just reward, but the world doesn't work that way. The powerful don't play by those rules, they never have. They understand that power isn't given. It's taken, often through strategic rebellion against systems like education that seek to tame you. You can do the same, not by burning your diploma, but by seeing it for what it is, a tool, not a destiny to break free. You must first see the chains for what they are, not iron shackles, but invisible threads woven from promises and fears. The education system doesn't just teach you facts. It teaches you a worldview, one where your value lies in how well you serve the machine. Foucault's genius was showing how discipline creates docile bodies, people who move through life like cogs, efficient and unquestioning. But you're more than a cog. You're a mind capable of rewriting the rules, of turning the system's tools against it. The question is, do you dare? Do you dare to look at the degree on your wall, the debt in your bank account, and ask, who did this really serve? This isn't about rejecting education outright. Knowledge is power, but only when you wield it on your terms. The lie is that the system hands you freedom on a platter. It doesn't. It hands you a leash, gilded with credentials, and expects you to thank it. Look at the consequences. Generations of graduates, burdened by debt, funneled into jobs that stifle their creativity, their boldness. The average student loan borrower in the U.S. takes 20 years to repay their debt, their prime. Years spent chasing stability over meaning. Meanwhile, the beneficiaries, banks, corporations, policymakers thrive. They don't want rebels or visionaries. They want predictability. They want you to stay in line, to see your debt as a personal failure rather than a systemic design. But here's the pivot, the moment where the fog lifts. You don't have to play their game. Foucault's discipline works because it's subtle, but once you see it, it loses its grip. You can redefine power, not as wealth or status, but as agency, the ability to choose your path, to say no to scripts that don't serve you. Nietzsche's will to power isn't about domination. It's about mastering yourself, crafting a life aligned with your deepest truths. Stop measuring your worth by grades, titles, or paychecks. Start asking, what do I want? What am I willing to risk? The system fears those who ask these questions because they can't be controlled. This awakening is your rebellion. It's not loud or violent. It's quiet, deliberate, unstoppable. You begin by questioning the values you've inherited. Why is a good job one that pays well but numbs your soul? Why is debt a badge of shame rather than a symptom of a rigged system? You reclaim power by refusing to let external metrics define you. You study not to earn a degree, but to sharpen your mind. You work not to pay off loans, but to fund your vision. You become a strategist, navigating the system without bowing to it. The system thrives on your passivity, on your willingness to accept its terms as the only reality. But once you see education for what it is, a mechanism to produce compliant debt slaves, you can't unsee it. Foucault's lens reveals the machinery, the timetables, the exams, the loans, all calibrated to shape you into someone who prioritizes survival over sovereignty. Yet, this isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of your emancipation. You're not powerless. You're standing at a crossroads where every choice you make can either tighten the chains or break them. The question isn't whether you can escape the system's grip. It's whether you're willing to do the work to redefine what freedom means. Freedom isn't a gift handed to you by a diploma or a paid-off loan. It's a state of mind, a refusal to let external forces dictate your purpose. Nietzsche's Overman isn't a distant ideal. It's you at your most authentic, creating values that serve your life, not the economy's demands. This means dismantling the myths you've internalized. You've been taught that obedience is virtue, that following the path of least resistance, college, career, mortgage, is the responsible choice. But responsibility to what? To a system that profits from your compliance while offering scraps in return? True responsibility is to yourself, to the fire in your chest that refuses to be extinguished. Don't start small, but start now. Question the necessity of every step you're told is mandatory. Do you need that advanced degree, or is it a status symbol you've been conditioned to chase? Can you learn the skills you need through books, mentors, or practice without the price tag of tuition? Can you build a life that aligns with your desires, not society's checklist? These questions are your weapons. They disrupt the system's hold, forcing you to confront the uncomfortable truth that you've been complicit in your own confinement. But they also empower you. They remind you that power isn't something you beg for, it's something you claim. This is your call to action. Stop waiting for permission. The system won't hand you a map to freedom. It's designed to keep you lost. Instead, forge your own path. Educate yourself, not to earn a grade, but to expand your mind. Work strategically, not to climb a corporate ladder, but to build resources for your dreams. Refuse to let debt define you. See it as a challenge to outsmart, not a sentence to endure. You are not a slave to this system. You are a force capable of bending its rules to your will, of turning its tools into your triumph. You stand now at the edge of a new beginning, not as a victim of a system that disciplines, but as a creator of your own destiny. Foucault's insight into power isn't just a critique, it's a liberation. A reminder that the forces shaping you can be redirected by your will. The education system, with its dead-end dogma, wants you to believe your worth lies in how well you conform. But you're not a cog, not a debtor, not a slave. You're a mind, a fire, a force that can rewrite the story. Nietzsche's call to overcome isn't a fantasy, it's a challenge to live deliberately, to choose your values over the ones thrust upon you. This is your power, to see the lie and refuse it. Every time you prioritize your curiosity over a syllabus, your vision over a paycheck, you chip away at the system's hold. You don't need to burn it down. You need to outgrow it. Start today. Read what sparks your soul, not what's assigned. Build skills that serve your goals, not a corporation's. Treat debt as a puzzle to solve, not a chain to bear. Surround yourself with those who challenge you to think, not obey. These acts aren't just rebellion, they're reclamation, a declaration that your life is yours. The world will resist. It will tempt you with comfort, shame you with shoulds, scare you with uncertainty. But fear is the system's last weapon, and it's weaker than your resolve. You are not here to comply. You are here to create, to question, to live. So take the first step. Ask yourself, what do I truly want? Then act, not as a student of a broken system, but as a master of your own path. The chains were never real. The only thing holding you back is your belief in them. Break it. Rise.